You know, it sounds like a lot of fun right now. Let's let's install Windows 10. That sounds fun. Before you can boot off of your flash drive or your CD, you're going to need to go to your motherboard BIOS and enable booting off of your CD or flash drive. And because everyone has a different BIOS, everyone has a different hotkey for their BIOS. So I'm going to scroll through this page slowly, and hopefully you'll be able to figure out what your hotkey is. All right. So we're going to prepare this hard drive with our redo backup. So in real life, I still sometimes have to restart this redo disk, but it seems like with this VirtualBox, I have to do it every time. Okay. So let's go to partition editor. Alright, so this is a fresh new hard drive. We're going to need to create a partition table. And we want a DOS partition table. And you'll be doing that when you have a fresh hard drive, or if you're coming back from a Linux install or from a dual boot install. Now, in this present state, with just the partition table, you could just stop here and install a mono Linux install. But we're going to do a dual boot. So Windows needs an NTFS. And we don't want to use up the entire hard drive. I'm just arbitrarily going to use half of the hard drive. Now, what you want is if you were to stop here and just install Windows, what Windows will do is you'll see all this empty space during the install, and then extend this existing partition. And you don't want that. You want this space reserved for Linux. So we're going to just create another NTFS partition, temporary. Okay. Now, even if you were to install a mono installation of Windows without doing the dual booting, I would still recommending having your partitions look like this, so that you can have some fault tolerance for backing up files. So, but right now we're gonna just install Windows on this one partition, And then later on in the series, we're going to end up deleting this temporary partition to make room for Linux. Okay. So I think we're done with this part. And now I'm going to load our Windows disk. And then you'll just pick the option that's appropriate for your hardware. Alright, most of you are going to just go with these default options. But I happen to be a Dvorak, use a Dvorak keyboard. So bear with me. And even if you have the product key, I recommend you don't enter it in quite yet. Oh yes, and I almost forgot. We need to disconnect from the internet. Make sure you're disconnected from the internet before you install Windows, because they will, if you're connected to the internet, then you won't have a local login account. It'll be on the cloud, and you'll have to use your Microsoft account to log into your own computer. So this would be a relevant graphic. There is no cloud, it's just someone else's computer. Anyway, oh, and if you're wondering about N, that was some kind of lawsuit that happened in Europe where some of the codecs don't get installed. The media codecs don't get installed if you choose N, if you're European. So even if you are European, I would still opt to have the codecs. So we're going to go with Windows Pro with codecs. N means no codecs, I suppose. And then you got to chant all rights reserved without prejudice before you can accept any of these stupid contracts. And then you always click custom. You don't want an automatic problem. Okay, we're going to select the Windows partition.
1 hour later.
Hi there, I'm Cortana, and I'm here to help.
Hit that microphone. Pick your region.
1 hour later.
Okay, so they're asking you for your keyboard again. Most of you are going to be QWERTY keyboard, so just leave it on the US. Alright, you don't want to connect to the network yet, because that's a nice tricky way for them to force you into having to rely on someone else's computer to log into your own. Alright, and I advise against using your real name. You should always use something as generic as user. And I advise you to use a long password phrase. And then I believe you want to use inaccurate information for the reminders so that no one can guess your reminders. And we don't like Cortana. And let us pretend that Microsoft is going to honor our wishes of privacy and hope that they do not override these settings with every single update that they force us to take. I'll deal with that later in the next video.
1 hour later.
Okay. Hmm. Let's get some desktop icons. How about that? And then, so you want to click on this PC and click Properties to get this screen where you can activate Windows. You can enter your product key right here. If you don't have one, we could go to kingwin.net. Gonna reconnect to the internet right now. It's safe. And we don't want other people to discover us on this network. So if you don't have a product key, go to kingwin.net. Okay. Change your setting to the appropriate currency. Search for Windows 10. We want professional. And you make sure this box is highlighted. That way you can ensure the key you use is not used. They will refund you a new key if you get the insurance. And, oh yes, OEM keys are, if you activate online, they will be attached to your motherboard. But if you disconnect from the internet when you enter your activation code, you can go through a phone activation process that will keep your the integrity or the portability of your OEM key. So the differences between an OEM key and a retail key. Retail keys are $200, but you are also entitled to like the Microsoft support if you value that at $200. I don't. So it's up to you. But yeah, so you buy this product key for the $30-ish, and you go to my computer. Menu clicking would be right clicking, go to properties, and then down in the lower right hand corner, click activate Windows, change product key, and then you'll enter your OEM product key, or if you have a retail key or whatever you have. And that concludes this video.